Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Coach Clarence is an entrepreneur, financial expert, and passionate about helping people build and market their business. He has a creative flair for thinking outside the box and is always looking for the positive side of life. Now, here's Coach Clarence.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Fit Over 40. I'm your host, Coach Clarence. And today I have Robert, and I'm going to screw his name up. No, I'm not. I'm going to get it right. Niemi. And he is Coach.
Ronnie is on today, man.
Right, Ronnie. And this guy's got an incredible resume. I knew once I saw him, I wanted to get him on. And I like what you do. You do a lot of similar things to me, but you got some different twists in. So this should be an exciting conversation. Ronnie is very passionate about helping people, and he has a great story. So I'm going to let him go ahead and talk about himself. Tell us your story, how you got to where you are right now. Then we'll dive in.
Oh man, that's a long story. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So I've been doing some kind of sports all my life, more or less. And at a young age of roughly 20 years old, I got into fitness and bodybuilding through like a pretty bad injury. And by the time there weren't like no internet, there no Google, just magazines and stuff like that. So I had to, living in Finland, we really didn't have any literature to go through. So I ordered every single magazine I got home from the states to just to learn, watch and stuff like that. So by that time, I also started coaching people or helping people. By that time, I didn't coach people, but I helped people. And I felt that was something I really enjoyed, to see other people succeed and get better. And I also worked as a teacher in high school for 10 years by that time. So I were around people more or less, throughout the day. But fast forward, I got also really sick a few years ago, and that made me, rethink everything when it came to my bodybuilding career. I was competing for 15 years, and by that time, as I said, I had to rethink things about my health, my future, and it just got worse, man. So it all ended up in a brain stroke, back in 2021. And by that time, I also had a cancer diagnosis on my neck. So up to this date, I have 29 surgeries behind me when it comes to the cancer. But back in 2021, I had some real rough times behind me when it came to my private life and, work and health things and financial situation, stuff like that. So I was pretty in a pretty weak situation, ending up back in March, lying at the in the ambulance, looking out through the window, and I just thought, man, is this it? They rushed me to the hospital because of my brain infarct, and things weren't looking too good actually. But I'm here, and when I got out of the hospital, I had to go through 3 surgeries, and what I got with me from the surgeries was a chronic headache, chronic, ringing in my ears, and that hasn't gone away up to this date, and it's now it's like 2.5 years ago. Actually, today it's 2.5 years ago. Actually, but when I got out of the hospital, I also realized that I need to change. I really need to change my life. Mm-hmm. And by that time, I've been working in the fitness industry for roughly 25 years in different ways. By that time, I also had a job that was pretty taxing. I love my job. I love my coworkers, and it was good. But I was really busy. Did long hours, and just ended up in a bad situation. So I quit the job and I really didn't know what to do. I've been coaching and helping people for roughly 20 years by that time. And one of my friends, he has one of the biggest coaching companies in this country. So he told me that, Ronnie, you could have some clients just to have something to do. And yeah. I need some money to, put food on the table. And I started off with a few clients. They got more. Another friend of mine who also runs a big coaching business also knew that I'm, like a free agent by that time. And he told me that, or asked me if I want to start helping him with the coaching. And, a few months later, I had almost 300 clients.
Wow.
Online clients. And from there, everything started just to, get more and more serious when it came to coaching people. And I've been helping, and I'm still helping like a lot of different people. My youngest client is 15 years old, and the oldest one is 72. So there's like a lot of space in between there. I have like real newbies. I have real advanced IFBB Pro athletes. I have weight loss clients. A lot of weight loss clients. I have people who want to gain muscle, and actually, I would say like for the last year, I also really been diving deep into the mindset. And that's where I really feel my purpose or my, I would say call my purpose is to help people, of course, get the nutrition right, get the fitness right, get the body right, but also get the mind right. But it's such a huge switch in the energy when you start thinking about yourself in a different way, and not just looking at the program and how to do it. It's more about who is going to do it.
Sure.
So I don't know if that was an introduction, but I try to run through my story just in.
I love it. It's good. So
in a fashion, yeah.
Mindset. It's funny you said. I think we probably should be pretty close to the same age, around the same age. And that's how I started learning about fitness. I was reading Muscle and Fitness and
Muscle Development.
Yeah, all those. And, so that's what we just copied bodybuilders that we liked,
Exactly.
And it's funny you said mindset, because I think there's a point as you get older and you get more evolved, it's not just showing people how to do an exercise. It's beyond that. So talk about when was the switch for you when you got into mindset and how powerful that was.
I would actually say I've been into the mindset for roughly 10 years. One of my former coaches, he might be familiar to you, Dorian Yates.
That's one of my favorite bodybuilders.
Yeah, it was one of my first coaches, and then we're still touching base now and then. And I had a real rough time back in 2015 and 16. And when we spoke, he just told me, man, that the ultimate freedom is when you really don't give a fuck about anything anymore. You just feel free. And I was saying, okay, that makes sense, but how can you get there? And then we start talking about mindset things more and more and more. And when Dorian speaks, I listen. Let's just say like that. And for those who doesn't know Dorian, he's he ain't just like the old bodybuilder. He's also like a real super down to earth guy who has a lot of great thoughts. So we spoke about mindset things, and I started reading some books, and then it started resonating with me more and more. And step by step, I read some books. I started talking to different kind of people, mindset coaches. Digging deeper. So that was pretty much where it started, and then the interest to learn more and more about the mind. Reading books about Joe Dispenza, Sadhguru. The list just goes on and on and on. And then I also joined a mindset coaching program, actually, also earlier on. And then it just got more and more tools to work with. And also realized how powerful those tools are when they're combined with the right in the right setup, in the right routines, and in the daily routines, daily habits and stuff like that. So it's also been a journey, I'd say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you have a certain training philosophy and nutrition philosophy, or do you kind of tailor it to individuals as they come?
I do have some kind of philosophy for sure, but I've also been, working with some of the absolute best coaches in the world myself. So I try to pick and teach, or pick and learn to be able to teach other people as well. To get inside of their minds, like the great coaches' minds. And what I learned, I'd say, is most of the coaches have the kind of same fundamentals. And when it all boils down, it's mostly about the daily routines and being accountable to yourself.
Right.
Of course, there's different clients, different people with different, possibilities. They come from different circumstances. They have different, goals, of course, and so forth. But I would say the main thing I look at is to really build up a strong routine that they can follow and not break through the habits. Being true to themselves, because there's a lot of people lying. They try to find possibilities to negotiate with themselves.
Yeah,
to choose the other one maybe instead of the right choice. And so I'd say, of course, there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but when it all comes down, it's down to the routine and being accountable.
Mm-hmm. How do you hold your clients accountable? Do you do weekly calls with them, or do you do measure? How do you hold them accountable?
Yeah, I like many coaches nowadays. There's a lot of different tools to use, like applications, stuff like that, and so I have. For most of my clients, I have a weekly check-in. That's like the base fundamental. And of course, I build like a custom questionnaire that they fill in each week. And I demand, of course, check-in photos to see, the concrete, what's happening from week to week. And you ain't gonna see that a lot of things happening from week to week. But when we're looking at a trend for a month or 6 weeks, then you'll see also, what kind of week did he or she have? Did you like a lot of stress? Did you sleep? Did you follow the programs? And of course, also monitoring the weight and seeing where that goes. But there's a lot of different things to follow up on. Not only how many times you train or do you do cardio. There's a lot of different variables to look at. But the weekly check-in is one thing. Then I also chat or have like a 24/7 chat where people write me, and of course I ain't sitting on the chat all the time, but I'm replying to people on a daily basis. And of course, when the client list is roughly 250 people, there's a lot of messages, there's a lot of reports. But I like working with people, and I like seeing people succeed today still after 25 years, and it just keeps them going, really.
So you said you got over 300 people. So do you have other coaches, or do you run it yourself?
No, I run it all myself.
Wow. How do you do that? That's a lot.
Yeah. Let's add in that I'm also the CEO of a pretty big supplement company over here. So I stay busy. I stay pretty busy.
That's impressive. That's a lot of people to monitor and keep track of their goals and what they're doing. So that's impressive. A lot of coaches over here, they'll get to a certain level and then they start hiring, I guess, for lack of a better word, junior coaches and just kind of segment things out, or they do like group, like a webinar, and they'll have 100 people on there, and they just kind of answer questions, general questions like that.
I do that as well. I have, every Wednesday I have 1 hour of more or less Q&A for all my clients that they can jump on and dig deeper into some fitness, nutrition, mindset questions. Just in case because everyone's sitting on the same question.
Yeah, a lot of everyone's the same.
Exactly.
A little different.
And when we jump on, there's a lot of people. I can see it. And, yeah, damn, I've been thinking about this, and then some lights are going on. But I'm doing that as well, just to tie everything together, really. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, there's some pretty long hours going on over here.
So let's talk about hormones and PEDs. That's a big conversation in our age group of over 40. What are your thoughts on the whole subject, and how do you handle it?
Well, I'm actually also really interested in the subject, to be honest. I've been competing myself for 50 years. There's a lot of anabolics and PEDs involved in that industry, for sure. And as I said, when I got my cancer diagnosis back in 2018, I had to rethink a lot of things. And I've been working with some super, super great, like the best of the best coaches. So I know that, I learned a lot from them when it comes to PEDs and how body works. But I also had to really connect with someone that ain't a bodybuilding coach, but still understands the human body. So I started searching for mentors, helping me out with questions that I couldn't, answer myself. And as I went on, I realized that my questions I didn't get a lot of more questions, but I got less and less people who could answer them.
Yeah.
So now I've been working the last 3 years. I've been diving real deep into PEDs and, trying also to understand a safer model. And I have some real good mentors that has taught me a lot when it comes to, I would say, you can never say that it's totally safe to use anabolics or PEDs, but you can do it in a safer way. And that's the way, when I help people with the subject, I also want to walk that path. It doesn't really matter if it's just, hormonal replacement, or if it's a competitive bodybuilder or fitness enthusiast, whatever. I still want to, make it as safe as possible, and monitoring the blood work on a regular basis, and of course understanding the hormonal pathways and stuff like that.
Gotcha. What do you think people struggle with the most from the people you see? Do you think it's mindset, or do you think it's just life in general?
I would say both, and I think the mindset, and especially when it comes to the daily routines, and that's something that I think is really, really big. You see people get up in the morning. Some people get up at 6. The other morning they get up at 8, and they one morning they have breakfast. The other morning they don't have breakfast. They eat lunch, and the days look so different. And people that follow me, they'll see that my days are like identical. I get up at 4:30 each morning. I start my morning with a special routine, meditation, burpees, cardio, and then I start working. And my work is, I just got 8 new clients started. It's 11:30 in the evening here, so it's kind of late, and I'm still up. So I think it's, when you ask me, where people are having the biggest struggle, I think it's building daily routines in a way that they can, repeat today and tomorrow and the next week and next month. Mm-hmm. When that is difficult to, achieve, I also think it's really difficult to find I don't like the word balance, but I would say, a balance in the imbalance. Mm-hmm. So and then it's really hard to get good at something when you don't have a blueprint that you're following, on a daily basis. I would say, one day it's go here and the other day you go there. So I think, you struggle in life because you struggle because of a lack of a good routine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing a consistent theme with you. It's the routines, the daily thing. Because I tell people all the time, you're not always going to be motivated, but if you have a pattern that you follow, you're going to know you're going to get that done, because you're not always motivated. I mean, even guys like you and I, we don't always wake up and go, I'm ready to get those burpees in. You got to just do it because that's what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, and I think, the motivation really comes from being disciplined. If you lack discipline, it's real hard to be motivated because, as I said, people operate a lot from, from the feelings. Today I feel tired. Today I feel hungry. I don't feel going out today, whatever it is. And as long as you operate from a feeling, you're going to get different results. That's just how it is. So what I try to teach my people or my clients is to operate from a system. building system with, as I said, that's why I've been talking about routines so much. When you build a routine, you also build a system. And when you have a system, you also know what's going to happen by the end of the day, or what you're going to, be sitting with. So, and there's a lot of people feeling, they feel, of course I also feel when the alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning, I feel some mornings for sure that I could stay in bed with my wife. Hell yeah, no doubt. But I also think it's really important for people to find their purpose.
I like
that. And when I had to leave the bodybuilding scene, or let's say the bodybuilding as a competitor,
okay,
that was a real hard time for me, to find a place and a way to feel the same energy that I felt from competing. And it took me many years. I sat down with a great mentor of mine from Canada. He's a professional bodybuilder as well, and he asked me, Ronnie, what's the most three important things to you? And I said, okay, that's my family. And when I talk about my family, I talk about my wife, my kids, and my close friends. And I said also my work and myself. And he said, okay, let me ask you like this. And that was by the time when I wasn't healthy at all. I was real bad, in bad condition. So he asked me, okay, Ronnie, what happens if you're sick? And when it comes to your family, can you support your family in like 100%? I said, no, man, I can't. That's just how it is. And I said, okay, what about your work? If you ain't feeling good, can you put, full focus into your daily routines at work? And can you bring your best to the table? And I said, no, man, I can't. All right. So what's the single most important thing? That's yourself. And that's really when I started working more on myself, to find that energy that I just told you that I kind of lacked from not competing anymore.
Yeah.
And when I started walking that path, I realized that, my purpose is to create the best version of myself, that version that I'm really damn proud of. And when I'm proud of that person, I'm also going to give him to other people. So that's what I feel when it comes to being my purpose, to really help other people become their best version of themselves. And also, creating we talk about the 2.0, 5.0, 10.0 version of themselves, creating from the inside out. Mm. There's a lot of people, with social media and whatever comes around. You see a lot of great physiques and good-looking girls, men, women. But I really think when a person feels good inside, then you're also going to see it on the outside.
Absolutely.
So, of course, as I said, training and eating, super important, but it's going to be way more powerful when you also, feel good about yourself on the inside.
What are your thoughts about people being honest with themselves? When you're doing a consultation with somebody you just met, how well do you dive into people's honesty, or you've been doing it so long you can pick up when they're giving you some BS? Yeah.
I think, one good example is now he's doing real well, but a client of mine, we were speaking, I think we were back in February, and he was fairly overweight. He had two beautiful kids, beautiful wife, nice job, great house, nice cars, but he told me that, I would need to lose some weight. I said, yeah, you definitely need to lose, I think it was like 40, 50 kilos, something like that. He was super or like fairly overweight. And then we got on, and 3 months in, and I felt that, he's the kind of guy that he speaks to his friend, and he speaks to work, and he's got a coach, and he's doing this program, and blah, blah, blah. 3 months in, he made the weekly report, and I think he had lost 1.5 kilos in 3 months.
Wow.
And I thought, and then he wrote me that, Ronnie, this was a good week. And I asked him, man, straight up, this ain't a good week by any means. You need to stop lying to yourself. And he said, what do you mean? I said, you've been on for 3 months, like you lost 1.5 kilos, and say you think it's a good week. Okay, let's dig deeper. You lie to yourself. And he was like, what do you mean? You lie to your wife? No. You lie to kids? And I said, no way. You lie to them all the time. Yeah, you need to stop this right now. And he got really angry at me, and he said, you know what? He ain't lying. He said, if you wouldn't lie, you wouldn't look like that by now. And then he kind of, accepted my statement, and he asked me, okay, Ronnie, you have kids yourself? I said, yeah. Can I ask you a question? I said, sure. And he said they're like young teenagers, and they ain't listening to me. Do you have any advice to me? Like he's roughly 10 years younger than me. Do you have any advice to me? I said, I wouldn't listen to yourself. You either. I wouldn't listen to you either. And he went, what do you mean? Because you lie to people. You lie to your closest people, and you lie to yourself. He got so angry, he just hang up. And I said, okay, I'm probably not gonna hear from him, anymore. 3 weeks later, he sent me a text message saying, Ronnie, you were right. After that, he's been losing 12 kilos.
Nice.
So I think, what I see in people is that, of course, everyone has their struggles, and everyone has their reasons, to say it like that. But what I also think is happening, being in the industry for 25 years, is that people get more and more soft, and they can't really take the truth. The hard truth is really hard to swallow. And then there's also a lot of people not telling the hard truth anymore. So I used to say that everyone needs an asshole in their life, and I can be the asshole in a good way. Pushing them, where not being mean by any means, but being the one that says, okay, straight up, this is what we need to work at, and straight up, this ain't a good week, even if you think it's a good week.
Yeah.
And okay, of course, everyone can't take it as a good thing, but I would say 95% of people, they know that their inner voice tells them that guy is telling the truth. So I think everyone is an asshole in their life.
I like that. So what's it like being a father? I'm a father myself. So what's it like for you being a father?
I have 2 sons. My eldest son is 22, or turning 22 in a month. So he's he's living on his own. And my youngest son he's turning 10 in 3 weeks. He's adopted from Thailand. Okay. So there's some space in between there, but I think that's one of the things that really changed my life, because I became a father as in a young age, and had to learn about taking responsibility and making sure we have everything we need. And when you start off, you're never going to be ready to become a parent. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. But as long as you do things as good as you can, and that doesn't mean that you try as good as you can. You do it as good as you can. And I think that's a lesson learned, that I learned at least from becoming a father at a young age. Not to try your best, but to do your best in everything in life.
Gotcha.
Of course, every one of us fails, and we'll make mistakes, and we can talk about bigger things as well. But always trying, not giving up. I think that's the lesson that I learned from becoming and also being a father.
Gotcha. I want to circle back to something that popped in my mind as you were talking. Do you think certain celebrities should be honest about PEDs they're using and different things they're taking? Because a lot of kids or people who admire them, they're saying, oh, I just got to eat this and do this and work out just like me. Do you think they should be? I mean, I know a lot of times athletes are shamed, at least in our society. I don't know how it is in Finland, but here, some people are shamed. Oh, you're doing PEDs, you're doing this. What are your thoughts on that? You think people should be more forthright?
Yes and no, because that's a two-edged sword. And I also have, real close friends that are, known people as well. And I think, there's a lot of people, influencers, whatever we want to call them, that talk about PEDs. but there's also a lot of influencers and YouTubers, whatever, competitors that talk about PEDs as something pretty interesting, pretty, kind of sexy, and that they're selling the idea of being huge and ripped and strong. And of course, there's a lot of young people listening to these guys or girls, both in good and bad. So I think there's a need for the people that talk about PEDs as it is, not trying to glorify anything, and also putting out the facts. Yeah. Instead of trying to, get more followers and getting more, clicks and whatever it's going to be. And that's where I see, my answer would be yes and no, depending on how you put it out there. Because if there's like a real known person that talks about PEDs, okay, the young guys, girls gonna listen to him or her and say, okay, I want to do the same, more or less. And we all know that, there ain't just good and bad in anything.
That's true.
So I really think we need people with the correct information, talking about it more and more. I really think so. Because we also know that there's a lot of people suffering, at least over here, from having real low testosterone levels, for example. And people talk a lot about that there's a lot of risks involved, but there's a lot of risks involved also having being overweight or having low testosterone levels or being depressed. Nobody talks about that in the same fashion as they talk bad about testosterone, for example. And then also there's really hard, at least over here, to get a TRT. Super hard. And the TRT, if you get a TRT here, how they how they set it up. It's that's so old fashioned, so people that knows about PEDs would most likely never set it up like that. So I really think there's a need to talk more about it, but also bring out the right information to the people.
Okay, that makes sense. It seems to be a lot of people jump on different things. The new thing, it's not new, but the hot thing right now is semaglutide, the weight loss, and the Ozempic is the prescription version of it. And I've had 2 or 3 people who came on my show and they've talked about it honestly, but it's popular. My issue with it is if you're taking it, again, using facts and you have science behind you, great. And you're being honest. But for people who are taking it as a shortcut, that's where the problem is. And a lot of people will jump on these hormones because, oh man, I can lose weight, and they're not changing all this stuff, and it's just a disaster. And that's the problem. With some of the doctors who are pushing it, they're pushing it like that versus really diving into it's these people's lifestyle too. You can't just give them drugs. There's certain people.
100%. And I think that was a real good point you brought up there, because we know that a person with a bad hormone levels needs to get help. That's just how it is. But there's also a lot of other things that needs to be done. So when it comes to the nutrition, the training, and of course the mindset as well, they need to be fixed, I would say, first, before you step into or you step down into the PEDs or TRTs, whatever it's going to be. I really think that's crucial to look at the big package instead of just pointing the finger and okay, like here's the solution, and looking at it like it would be black and white, really. So yeah, you got a big point there, man. Really,
it's very popular here, and obviously everybody on social media is doing something. So talk to me about insecurities. There are maybe yours or other clients. What do you mean when you talk about insecurities?
I've been a person that's been super sensitive and super insecure.
Okay.
And super shy.
Really?
Yeah, man. I've been like the worst ever. And when we talk about feeling free, I think the insecurities and then being shy and also being ashamed and think about what other people think about it as like so that's so common. You see that like a lot of all over the place. And I really think when it comes to being insecure, it's also a lot about your inner energy. How you look at yourself, how your self-talk is is it you can't talk positively about yourself if you're feeling negative. Just how it is.
Yeah.
So I really think that the positive self-talk is super big, and they always talk about it. There's two kind of people, stepping into the room. There's the guy that steps in and say, okay, hi, hey guys, hey, how are you? And the other guy steps in and, hey, here I am, man. I was the guy that stepped in the room and being really polite, and I'm still super polite. I like people, but I was the guy being shy, coming into the room and kind of not apologizing for being there, but still being like real, laid back. But I'm not that anymore, because I think people need to know their value, and when you know your value, you're also going to bring something to every discussion you step into. But my journey there was actually, I had to hit the rock bottom, as I told you, about being real sick, and having 29 surgeries for cancer, having the brain infarct, and that made me realize that I'm kind of playing on overtime. I actually probably should or would have been gone for like many years ago.
Wow.
So thinking about waking up in the morning and you have like a crazy agenda, and you meet a lot of new people and getting on podcasts and whatever. I'm just excited.
That's cool.
because I know that when you play on sudden death, there's two teams, and both teams try to score a goal.
Sure.
And if I start backing up and playing defense, I know that I'm not trusting myself anymore. So nowadays I just go all in, all offense, and that's a real relief, because I know that the other team, they might score a goal and then I'm out.
Yeah.
But I might also be the one scoring the goal. I'm gonna score the goal first.
Right.
So I think that's really to find a purpose, and also hitting some kind of stage in your life when you really know that you got here with nothing. Mm-hmm. You got here with nothing. I got here with nothing, and one day we're gonna leave here. And if we will leave with something, that's more than nothing. So I really think that my mindset switched when I laid down at the ambulance, in the backseat of the ambulance, watching out the window and thinking that, okay, this is my bed, man.
Yeah. What was that feeling like, though? Were you feeling regret? What was that feeling? I've been sick before, but never to the point I thought I was going to die. But what was going through your mind at that? Were you thinking about your family? Were you thinking about, man, was it about you? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I thought about some moments, some happy moments. I thought about some things that I felt that, damn, I wished I'd done that,
Yeah.
And it just flashed, in front of my eyes. And I felt that I'm not done yet. And if I get the chance, I just gonna live,
Yeah.
and not think about what that person thinks about me. And that doesn't mean that you need to be cocky or arrogant or anything like that, but that's just trusting yourself.
Yeah.
And seeing the value, doing this positive self-talk, helping people. And I think that's also raises your energy when you help people, when you feel enlightened. That's one of the highest frequencies you can feel. Mm-hmm. You need to, when you start vibrating at a higher level, all that negative self-talk, all that insecurities, they just go away. Mm-hmm. And in order for me to get there, to feel what I feel today, I would get back to my daily routines. because when I work through my system, I also know what I'm going to feel by the end of the day. Instead of just going hard on my feelings. I'm as I said, I'm super sensitive. I'm that kind of guy that, if I have a real, I'm the guy that can cry. Let's just say that as it is. I'm not crying a lot or often, but I'm the kind of guy that also can cry. So, but that's just being me. I know who I am, and I don't need to feel ashamed or any guilt or anything like that. So I think that's a big thing that people, they're afraid of showing themselves to others.
Yeah,
I really think that. Yeah,
vulnerable. Yeah. I think people connect with you more when you're vulnerable. Because
100%.
Act like up here, you're never going to get that.
No, 100%. And also, when you help people, when you've been living the situation yourself, I've been overweight when I was a kid, and that was one of the most painful things I felt in life. When we had sports class in school, when we were changing clothes, I mean, I wasn't like super big, but I was soft. I had some titties, and you never saw my abs. Then we have the kids that were kind of lean, natural lean and muscular, and I still worked out way more than they did. But I was they kind of a bit fatty kid, and it was crazy painful. I also been the person counting my euros or dollars in the States just to get everything covered. I also been the person, as I said, I've been fairly sick. Also been a person with the big insecurities. I've been the person being super shy. So I've been everything that. I've been there and done that. So it's also really it helps me to help people because I understand them so much better.
Yeah.
Instead of just always been, at the top. So, that also, yeah, I think it makes it easier for people to approach that kind of coach that has that experience, but also lived that and showed himself or herself, everyone that, they evolved. They're not there anymore. They're not the victim anymore. They're not counting the, euros just to get, a chicken breast board or whatever it's going to be. They're not the insecure people anymore. They're not the sick people anymore. Even though, we ain't 20, we're still in shape. We're doing the things we love. We're proud of ourselves, and we're living a good life. So I think that's a big thing for everyone that helps other people, because there's a lot of information out there. I think there's probably too much information out there.
Yeah.
So there's real hard to filtrate what you're gonna follow, and then there's a lot of people doing courses. They read this, they read that, and they tell people on social media like real detailed, but they never do it themselves.
Yeah.
So I think as a coach, you need to be educated for sure. You need to have experience for sure. You need to have the observation or being able. You have been observing other people for like a long time. So I think you need to have all those three in order to be a good coach, to be honest.
I agree. So you are coaching people, you're running a supplement company. Years from now, me and you are gone away. When someone is watching this, what do you want them to take away from you? What do you want them to think about Ronnie?
Yeah, I think, what I would like people to think about is that, as I said just a while ago, where we came here with nothing. We're probably going to leave with more or less nothing as well. But in between those times, what do we have to lose, really?
So you're saying go for it. Just push yourself. Live the best life you can.
Yeah, and, self-development is the biggest thing you can do.
Yes.
And investing in yourself, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people do when they don't invest in themselves. And now I like luxury bags or whatever myself, but I don't mean investing yourself in that.
I've seen some of your Instagram, buddy.
Yeah. But being the person that invests in yourself on a personal development level. I think that's super important. I think every coach would need to have a coach themselves. I really do.
Yeah.
Because you always learn something new. That's the beauty in coaching. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be ready, totally ready.
Right.
So I would say, focus on yourself, focus on the positive self-talk, and also educate yourself as much as possible.
I love it. Love it. So where can people find you if they want to follow you and maybe get coaching from you?
Yeah, I would say, I have my website, rgtraining.com, and the other one would probably be my Instagram, Ronnie_Niemi. The most content is in Finnish, but I coach people in English, Swedish, and Finnish. That's my 3 languages that I use.
So this probably sounds like a correct question, but I don't know. What is the language in Finland? What's the common language?
95%, roughly 95% of the 90% of the Finnish people speak Finnish, and that's like it's a very different language.
Give me something in Finland real quick.
If we have you talk about verbs in English, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if we have one verb in English, you have 43 different ways of making that verb work in a sentence in Finnish.
So if I said to you, let's say I say, hey Ronnie, I want to lose weight, and say it back to me in Finland.
All right. So that I want to lose weight would be haluan pudottaa painoa. So as you see, that's kind of different from English. But the funny thing is that there's also roughly 5% of people speaking Swedish here, and my mother is Swedish. And Swedish and English, they're pretty close. Yeah. So if you know Swedish, it's way easier to learn English and the other way around. But Finnish is so far away. So it's for people that doesn't grow up as speaking Finnish, it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. And you guys use kilos a lot. You guys say
we do.
Weight. Yeah. That is, or pounds. Yeah. We say kilos. Yeah.
And liters. Yeah.
Yeah. Liters. Yeah. A lot of the coaches I had would use kilo. That was popular when I was learning some of the stuff I learned. So I knew that the conversion, so, well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts. I'm following you. I think you have a great story. I love good stories. So when I read your bio, I was like, oh man, I got to hear this story. Tell me really quick. You said you had 29 surgeries. What are they? Was that on your neck or just in your body?
Both my skin and body. So
so they were taking stuff off of you and
different treatment. I mean, some of them have just been in and out 30 minutes, but I also been there for days. I also been there for therapies and stuff like that. So it's been everything from the easiest to no chemo for sure, but everything in between. Gotcha. So a few stitches. And my wife just pulled out some stitches from the back. I had a surgery 2 weeks ago, so that's the most recent one.
So are you going to pass the legacy down to your son? One of your sons? Who's in the lead to get the legacy?
We're willing to see that, but no, I mean, there's my youngest son. He actually comes. I live 2 weeks in Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland, and 2 weeks in another city where my son lives. So when we're back in the city where my son lives, we also have the warehouse of my or our supplement company. So he comes down and works for us, and he talks about he want to be part of PTV lab team crew at some point. So we'll see. He might be
working out and stuff.
Yeah, we're doing. Man, I spoke about routines, and he's 9 years old. I'm just gonna say this: every morning he has his alarm going off at 10 to 7. And I'm working on a computer, and then I start listening. A few minutes later, I hear some kind of grumping voice, and he's doing burpees. So because we have a deal that he does 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, and 20 burpees before he does anything else. No phone, no PlayStation, nothing before the burpees are done.
I love it.
He's 9 years old. No, I like to teach people to, as I said, I'm big on routines. I really think that's a game changer for most people.
I agree.
So so we're doing burpees in the morning.
I like it. I like it. Cool. All right, everybody. Again, Ronnie, I appreciate your time today. And we'll see all of you next time.
Thanks for having me, man.
You got it.